Hey guys, and welcome to the Digital Champion HQ. Today we're going to be covering another Digimon of the Digital Destined, Tentomon. Personally, one of my favorite Digimon. I really like his design a lot. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and cover the Tentomon Digivolution line. First up, we got Pabumon. Pabumon is a slime Digimon. Although it looks like it is just pale green bubbles at first glance, it is a bubble Digimon that can move freely and express a plethora of facial expressions. Because its surface has not hardened yet, its defensive power is non-existent and it is equally unsuited for combat. From the portion that looks like a pacifier held in its mouth, it generates tiny bubbles and proliferates them infinitely. As for that proliferation, at one point it started being used for computer virus development, but because its life force was too weak, that was fortunately never implemented. Although its life is fleeting, it is a lovable Digimon baby that lives earnestly. As for Pabumon's most notable attacks, he has adhesive bubble blow. He uses this technique to escape while the intruder's movement is restricted by the adhesive bubbles it generates from within its body. And then, as with most other baby level Digimon, he uses the bubble attack, in which Pabumon would produce bubbles from its mouth to intimidate the opponent. So overall, this design is pretty adorable. I like the little pacifier. You know, most baby level Digimon have that sort of pacifier design to them. The one thing I wanted to note about this Digimon is its backstory, with it being potentially used to create other digital viruses, is actually pretty cool and adds a lot more lore to the digital world. I would like to see a little bit more of that kind of expanded in future Digimon properties. Moving along, Pabumon digivolves to Modemon. Modemon is a lesser Digimon. In other words, a entraining Digimon. It possesses elastic skin and is a soft-bodied Digimon that uses the protuberances on the underside of its body to toddle about. It came to be called Motimon from inflating its body when it gets worked up, causing it to look like mochi. However, as a result of possessing a height of intelligence that couldn't even be imagined from its appearance, its origin is conjectured to derive from a computer's dictionary feature. It understands human languages, and it is sometimes seen freely deforming its body like it's trying to return communications. His most notable attacks include elastic bubbles, in which Modemon produces mochi-like elastic bubbles to restrict the opponent's movements. And yet again, his other attack being bubbles, in which it spits out bubbles. So, Modemon. Pretty neat design. Looks pretty basic overall, though. It's kind of just that standard. I like to call them like chewed up pieces of bubblegum type Digimon. It's cool, but nothing too stand out. As for the backstory, as we know, Tentomon and Izzy, a dynamic duo when it comes to intellect. So it's nice to see that they mention that here in the backstory, but nothing too crazy or shocking on the backstory there, so we're going to go ahead and move right along. So Motimon digivolves into Tentomon, and Tentomon is an insectoid Digimon. It is the original type of insectoid Digimon who, although it has a hard shell, still has low aggression. It has one hard claw on each of its forelegs, and 4 on each of its middle and hind legs, and in particular the middle legs are able to skillfully grasp objects just like a human hand. Although the other insectoids at its Digivolution level only possess fighting spirit, it still retains its naturally friendly sentiments, and displays its carefree way of life by doing things like sniffing the scent of flowers and napping in the shade of a tree. His most notable attacks include Super Shocker, in which Tentomon hurls static electricity that is amplified with its wings. Tentomon also has various other attacks where he displays his electrical abilities, as well as using his sharp claws to attack his opponents. So overall, I love the Tentomon design. I really like insectoid Digimon. In general, they usually have a lot of detail to them, even though I'm not much of a fan of insects in real life. But in Digimon world, yeah, I really like the looks of the insectoids. They always have a lot of detail. And as for the backstory, there's not too much. Again, with Tentomon's backstory, they don't really touch on the intelligence level that Tentomon has, just like they did with the Motimon. But yeah, so far, pretty cool. Tentomon, I love his design. What can I say? Oh, actually, you know what? A really big thing is that it's stating here that it is the original type of insectoid Digimon. So basically making Tentomon either, according to this, either the first or one of the first insect Digimon, which is a really big deal. I mean, he's basically like one of the, I guess, ancestors of sorts to all the other awesome insect Digimon to come later. Alright, so moving right along, Tentomon Digivolves to Kabuterimon. So Kabuterimon is a champion level insectoid Digimon. Kabuterimon is among the newly discovered Digimon. It is a fairly unique insect Digimon. The details of how it digivolved into an insect type are unclear, but it has both ant-like power and the flawless defensive ability possessed by a beetle. Its personality is the epitome of an insect's, and because it only possesses the instincts for survival, it has no intelligence or anything similar. It swoops down on hostile virus Digimon without mercy. Its head has been metallized and boasts the defense of an iron wall. Before Kunamon's discovery, Kabuterimon was thought to be the only existing insectoid Digimon. There is a perfect rivalry between it and the virus attribute Kuwagamon, and there is only conflict between them. His most notable attack is Electroshocker, in which Kabuterimon fires an electrical ball at its enemies. He also has various other electric attacks like Electric Storm, and he is known to use his horn and claws to attack as well. Overall, I love Kabuterimon's design. It has to be one of the coolest designs out there for a Digimon. I really like his helmet that they gave him. It just looks awesome, and his like weird predator-like mouth is really cool. Again, a lot of detail goes into these insectoid Digimon, which I really appreciate. So in this summary here, it mentions that there's really no intellect behind Kabuterimon, which is interesting coming from his in training form of Modemon, which is known to have high intelligence. So it's almost as if as Modemon keeps getting physically stronger, his mental state kind of deteriorates, which is kind of a cool little feature. But I also really like that he has a rivalry with Kuwagamon, which we get to see in a little bit of, not really, but we get to see Kuwagamon obviously in the beginning of Digimon Adventures and a little bit in Digimon Tri. So there's a little bit of that shown in the anime, even though it's not really, I guess, it's not really shown that way in the anime. It's more of just kind of Kuwagamon's there. But yeah, Kabuterimon, super cool. It kind of contradicts the other statement that Tentomon might have been the first insect Digimon here, because in this summary it does say that Kunamon might have been, well, at least it mentions that Kunamon was thought to be the only existing insect Digimon, so maybe later on they found that Tentomon was in fact the first. Hard to say, these kind of contradict each other a little bit, but we're going to move right along to the next evolution we have. So Kabuterimon Digivolves to MegaKabuterimon. So MegaKabuterimon is an ultimate level insectoid Digimon. It is a Digivolution of Kabuterimon that was discovered within the tropical region of the net area. It is almost 1.5 times the size of Kabuterimon and is quite large amongst insectoid Digimon. It is the same species as MegaKabuterimon Blue, and similarly, the strength of its horn, which is its main weapon, has soared, but this type of MegaKabuterimon seems to have surpassed it in fight ability. Also, muscular tissue has appeared on the bases of its forelimbs, so its grappling ability has also improved. With the exception of its survival instincts, its behavior has been observed to consist of protecting the weak, and there are even times when its behavior has appeared knight-like. His most notable attacks include Hornbuster, in which MegaKabuterimon stabs the opponent with its gigantic horn. This attack is also depicted as firing a blast of lightning from its gigantic horn in a lot of the Digimon story games. His other attacks include Electroshocker, in which he fires an electrical ball from its hands. He's also known to use various attacks using his claws and horns and other of his limbs. Overall, again, I love this design. All insect Digimon have that just amazing level of detail that I'm talking about. I've said about all the other previous forms. It's just awesome. I really like the giant horn. You can definitely see the evolution from Kabuterimon to MegaKabuterimon. Really, from Tentomon onward, you can actually see how he can digivolve to these other forms. That's kind of, I think, a lot of the people that may not necessarily like Digimon is because that they can never really get their mind around, one Digimon digivolving to a completely different looking Digimon. Like how does Monodramon digivolve to Justimon? Like how does that little dragon digivolve into like this man-like creature? I understand that, and that's why I definitely really like the Tentomon line, is because you can definitely see the progression and the thought process behind his evolution line. Now, as far as the backstory goes, there's not a whole lot here, but I do like the implication that he's actually kind of like this noble like Digimon. It mentions that he has appeared to be knight-like, almost protecting the weaker Digimon. So that's pretty cool. A neat little factoid there. Moving right along, MegaKabuterimon digivolves to Hercules Kabutarimon. So Hercules Kabuterimon is an insectoid Digimon. It is a mega level, and it digivolved with the data of Kabuterimon and Kuwagamon species. It has a gigantic horn and scissors, and it can be said that its form perfectly compensates for the weaknesses of those two types of Digimon, which had opposing natures. Its body shines gold, and it has regained and strengthened the flying ability which MegaKabuterimon had lost, so it rushes around the digital world at supersonic speed. Having now accomplished this Mega Digivolution, there are probably few things who can rival Hercules Kabuterimon, the greatest of them being Grand Kuwagamon, whose battle with it continues without ever ending. His most notable attacks include Mega Electroshocker. Hercules Kabuterimon fires a light wave explosion that is an enhanced version of Electroshocker, which will annihilate anyone it hits. His other notable attacks include Giga Scissor Claw and High Mega Blaster, in which these attacks usually uses his pincers and claws to attack his opponents. So again, with this design, I love the giant pincer-like horns he has. I like the gold look. It really makes him look, I guess, a bit more regal, if you will. It's a very awesome, very well detailed design. As far as the backstory goes, I like that it's kind of like it's kind of implied that it's almost like a cross between Kabuterimon and a Kuwagamon species Digimon, and that it actually is much stronger, and that it actually kind of strengthens all of the weaknesses from those Digimon to make himself even stronger. And that his rivalry still exists with Grand Kuwagamon, and it seems like they will forever be in this never-ending battle, which is really cool. So we're going to keep on moving along. I'm going to show you who Hercules Kabuterimon digivolves to. That's right, there's a form after Mega that he can evolve to, and that is Hercules Kabuterimon digivolves to Tyrant Kabuterimon. So Tyrant Kabuterimon is an insect Digimon. He is a mega level Digimon, and it is the king of insects, which governs all insect Digimon. Its stronghold is the Underforest, which exists deep underneath the darkest forest, and it is said that it only moves at night. It is able to manipulate every insect Digimon at will, so it almost never fights in person. Due to the high density Chrome Digizoid which composes its shell, it is thought to be impossible for ordinary Digimon to even scratch it. His most notable attacks include Shine of B, in which Tyrant Kabuterimon emits a red-hot explosion from its entire body, which is impossible to defend against, and instantly reduces all of its opponents to ash. His next attack, B Cyclone, summons all of its insect followers to construct an impenetrable wall of bugs. His next attack, Insect Cannon, fires flying insects that home in on the enemy and attacks them. He has multiple other attacks that uses his ability to control other insect Digimon to make them fight for him. Overall, this design is awesome. It's almost like this angelic winged weird insect horn beetle type of design, which I really like. It's kind of reminds me of MegaKabuterimon a little bit, except if he had more of like this angelic sort of wings going on. But I like that it still kind of stays true to that Kabuterimon line, because it still has those claws, it has that horn. It just looks a little bit more streamlined and almost mech-like. As far as the backstory goes, oh man, this is awesome. So basically, he is the king of insect Digimon. So basically, he's the end-all be-all when it comes to insect Digimon here. Like, he's able to literally control all other insect Digimon at will. So he can control all the other insect Digimon, including Kuwagamon. So in the end, it looks like Kabuterimon gets the last laugh, because he can basically eventually digivolve into Tyrant Kabuterimon and just mind control Kuwagamon, and that's the end of that. And it's also cool that they mentioned that he has high density Chrome Digizoid as its outer shell, making him really a tank of a Digimon. So as far as other side evolutions go, there is MegaKabuterimon Blue, which is the ultimate form of Tentomon. It's the same backstory, same attacks as the other MegaKabuterimon that we already showed, MegaKabuterimon Red, but MegaKabuterimon Blue actually digivolves into another Digimon, Ancient Beetlemon. Alright, so there you have it. That is the Tentomon Digivolution Line. Let me know in the comments down below which one of these forms is your personal favorite of Tentomon. Is he one of your favorite digital destined Digimon? Let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, as it really does help the channel. Also be sure to hit that like button if you like the video, and I'll see you guys next time at the Digital Champion HQ.